Good morning, everybody. Auronnj here with another War of the Visions video, and today we are going to do the much requested, and I'm not sure how necessary, MR unit tier list for this game. These units are all over the place, you guys. There are some MR units that are as good as UR units. There's some MR units that are worse than Zazan. They're all over the place. We're going to go through them, try and make sense of what these things are right now. Alright, now before we get into it, if you do want to support the stream, the channel, everything I do here, please consider using my Amazon coin affiliate link. It's down in the description. Best way to support the channel and save on Visior. Or become a YouTube member. Thank you to all the YouTube members, people who buy with the link. Y'all are awesome. Let's talk about these MR units. Now, you see the tiers on the screen. They're pretty self-explanatory, right? S, A, and B, standard, whatever you think. There is that tier at the top, though, UR. These are going to be a very few units that I think are actually capable of replacing an entire MR unit in your team. And then Nope is like, either just stay the heck away from them, they're not even worth your MR materials, or I just don't know. There's going to be some that are probably like borderline A, B units, but I'm going to put them in Nope, because honestly, if it's a B tier MR unit, about the only thing you're going to be ever using it for is selection quests. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Let me get my list up on the screen here. Okay, first up we have Mariel. Really good tank, really good at gathering aggro, S tier unit, top of the MRs, right? She's usable in Guild Wars right now, she's usable in PvP, PvE, and she'll be really great for you in your selection quests. Okay, next up, Katia. Okay, main job cleric, and main job clerics just kind of suck. So she goes to B tier. She does have heals. She's not worthless, but she's B tier. I'm going to try and keep these really short and sweet, by the way. Okay, next up, this is Liviel. Liviel, I'm going to slide Liviel up into S tier. She is like a great farming unit. So the reason I'm going to put her there is because she can do the job of what like Ildira does for a lot of people. If you don't have Ildira, you want a unit who can instant cast damage. I think she belongs in S tier. Really good unit. Okay, regular Mama Helena is B tier. Okay, this girl's fast, and I've really tried to use her before, but it didn't work out super well, even with her specific vision card, even with her agility at like 110 or whatever I got it to, she didn't really do a lot. Okay, Elshra. Here's our first UR level unit, right? Now, you know, hold on. I'm actually going to say, let's put Elshra like really high S tier. Yeah, because, okay, if she had her 120, she would easily be up here, but she does not yet, so I'm going to put her in S. This girl does a ton of damage. She's a big time DPS mage, really good unit. So if you're thinking about building an MR unit, yo, those two light element units at the top of S right now would be a great place to start. Okay, next up, this is, I think I'm saying her name right, Lorelei. Yeah, she's a Nope. Just doesn't do a lot of damage, doesn't really do much. We're just going to put her down there. Her friend Durando, going to join right after her in there. And let's skip to a more interesting one. King or Prince Mott. So Prince Mott is absolutely a top of S tier unit. He's borderline UR tier. But he's not as good as King Mott, right? King Mott, obviously better than Prince Mott, but Prince Mott can tank physical teams like a beast. He's not very good in magic tank, and you do have to EX him to make him this good, but if you're investing into if you're a brand new player looking for a tank, you get this guy for free, you can level him for free. I'm going to say he's top of S tier. Now, he might not be ahead of these other units if they had their 120, but he does and they don't, so there you go. Next up is Crazy. She's a MR gunner unit. I'm going to put her in A tier. She has good buffs for gunners. She has good damage for gunners. She's not like as insane as the rest of the range units in this game, but she's solid A tier unit. She's going to be right there next to Lilith. Nope, you know what? Lilith uses great sword, so I'm going to bump her down to B. If Lilith had access to like the flame sword that we just got from the event, I think she'd be better, but otherwise she's just kind of a damage unit. You'd be better off building somebody else. Gafgarion, I'll put into A. I'll put him below Crazy though. He does a lot of damage. but you know what? It doesn't really matter, because if you're just starting this game, you don't have him because he's a Final Fantasy Tactics event giveaway unit. But if you'd want to know about him, he does do a lot of damage. So I'm going to put him in A tier. This dude is paper, though. Somebody breathes on him, he literally just falls over dead. Okay, next up, this is Lorenzo. Yeah, I said that name right. Lorenzo's a nope. Y'shtola is a... Y'shtola's like top of B or bottom of A. She's terrible in PvP. You almost can't use her in PvP. In PvE, she does have AoE farming abilities, so for like tower, anytime you're needing to clear some stuff. But again, she was a giveaway unit in an event that's already happened twice now, so she's not going to be back for a while. If you don't have her, you're honestly not missing out. Okay, Fina is next. Now, Fina is an absolute top of A tier MR unit. She is... In like cost-restricted PvP, she has cheer, and that buff is really, really good. It raises faith, which, by the way, is good for a different reason we'll get to in a minute. But she also gives protect, buffs attack, and buffs magic, all in one cast, right? That's cheer, one move. So that move by itself is amazing. Now, she doesn't do damage. In fact, you're better off turning off like all of her damage abilities, giving her TMR bow that has a chance to charm, and just having her auto attack. That's better than having her use her DPS abilities, in my opinion. But she does have heal. You know, she's bottom S tier for an MR unit. I talked myself into it. She has great healing abilities. That buff is amazing. I'm going to put her in bottom of S. If she gets a really good EX, she could elevate into something else. Okay, Adelard. Adelard's A tier. He's like... Well, he's a red mage, he has jamming thrust, he has some heals, he has some support abilities like casting protect, things like that. Very useful unit, but there's other supports in this game that are just better than him. I love the guy. He started the jamming thrust meme that's like a meme on my Twitch channel, so I'll put him there. Okay, next we have Silma. Silma's our first UR equivalent MR unit. She has a 120, so keep that in mind. But oh my gosh, if you're fighting magic teams, her as an anti-mage is insane. She has a buff that reduces the damage, she can buff other people's slash resist, missile resist, and her damage is pretty dang high for an MR unit. It's almost UR level damage, and the rest of her kit is UR-esque, I guess, right? So there's our first UR similar mage, or MR unit. Now, she's the newest one, so that probably helped elevate her on that list. Okay, next up is Seymour. Seymour, top of S tier. Maybe right behind King Mon. Now, the thing with Seymour is this. You're going to have to 120 him to get him this high. But if you do, he's a very, very high damage, pretty evasive-y, like... samurai dude. He can wear armor. He's not super squishy like somebody like a Gafgarion or something. And if you need like a fire element physical DPS, Seymour's a pretty good place to start. He's a good unit. Okay, next up we have Grace. Man, I'm tempted to throw Grace into like UR tier. I don't think she is though. I'm going to put her towards the top of S. So Grace is a super good support unit, right? She's got the heals that you need. She's pretty durable, especially when built correctly, so I'm just going to put her in S. And, you know, one thing you'll notice on this list, I think, is I tend to like the tanks and the support characters more than the DPS characters, because I think you notice a fall off in DPS as you tier down to MR. That's why, like, Silma, she's UR because of her support and her, like, ability to be anti-mage. Ma is a tank, Grace is a healer, Fina is a support, and then, okay, let's continue. Next up is this guy, Titus, however you want to spell it. So, this dude is a main job paladin, but he doesn't tank, and he sucks. Okay, so he's going to go down there. Next up, we have Shell. Now, Shell, if we're talking about, like, class match, like class-restricted manual PvP, she would be here. But we're not, so I'm going to just put her towards the bottom of S. She's very worth building for those specific, like, cost-restrictive game modes. She has Quicken, like, she's a really, really great support in a cost-limited environment. But you need to manual her. Her AI is kind of wonky, but she has a lot of good uses, so I will put her at S, maybe top of A. I'll put her top of A, because in, like, She doesn't do damage, really. Her main job is Green Mage, then she has Time Mage and Thief, none of which are damage-dealing abilities, so she's really just there to support, and she's really only great in Manual. So we'll put her in A for that reason. Okay, next up is Vistral. Vistral had a day where, like, you know, you could use him to farm Gill Snappers, but nobody really does that anymore. He will be very useful as one of the only DPS classes from Light. So I'll put him up to top of B for Light select. Yeah, we'll put him below you, like that. For Light Selection Quest, I think he will be useful. I don't know if he has too many other uses, though. We'll drop him there. Shadow Lynx is an A tier unit. I'll put her above Gafgarion. Very evasive. If you're running an evasion team and you need a third unit, Shadow Lynx could do that for you. Absolutely. Solid A tier. Curry is a nope. Dario. Okay, Dario is another top of S tier unit. Now, he's a magic tank. He can gather aggro really effectively through Taunting Spell. You can buff his magic resist to where he's basically not taking damage from magic units. But the AI keeps him from being UR level. But when he gets to that 120, man, he might bump up into like UR-ish tier. Man, it's hard to like make that into a verb or a pronoun, whatever. He might be UR capable, something, when he gets his 120 EX. Okay, next up is Mustadio. Mustadio is like a B tier unit. We'll put him above Y'shtola. He brings a lot of disables, like status effects, but he doesn't do a lot of damage, so he's kind of weird, but he's not worthless. We'll put him in B. Sir O is in, we'll put Sir O top of A tier. Sir O, a lot of damage for an MR unit. Very evasive, very useful. He has a vision card that really buffs him too, so I do think he's usable. I just don't think he's as good as any of those S tier units right now. Okay, Ravis. Ravis, another tank we're going to put near the top of S tier. MR tanks are good, you guys. If you need a tank, like there are 3 MR tanks right now in S tier already. There's 4 MR tanks in S tier already. In fact, let's do that. MR tanks are good. I think that's what you're kind of noticing, at least according to me, right? This is all my opinion. If you think I'm stupid, tell me in the comments. Speaking of stupid, it's Mariluke. She goes in nope. Ryryu, we'll put Ryryu bottom of A. He's fringe AB. Like, he's a gunner. Yeah, he's probably, at this point in the game, he's probably here. There was a point in the game where he was very usable in missile comps, but that was basically when we only had Frederica as an EX missile unit. Okay, Etra, man, I wish. Sorry, Etra. Well, you know what? Build her because she's free. Okay, Marguerite, Fire Mage, I don't know, not super great. Like, if I'm looking over here at her sub-job, she's Time Mage, Black Mage, Red Mage. Time Mage elevates her above those. We'll put her, like, here. She has good support abilities. I mean, does she have Quicken? I don't think she does. She does have Quicken. Okay, you know what? Anybody with Quicken scoots up to A. Yeah, but she's going to be like Shell to me, where she's there for those like Time Mage buffs and not for damage, but she does have more damage than Shell, so Marguerite's fine. Marguerite can go hug it out with Shell over here in A tier. I'm good with that. Okay, next up, what do we got? We've got, yes, it's our boy, the freebie unit. Let me find him on this list here. Tyrell, I forgot his name. Tyrell's like he does decent damage, but he's B tier. He's another event unit, so build him when you can, just for water selection quests someday, but really a PvE only kind of unit. Now, Alim is A tier. Her piercing damage helps her like do more damage. Her TMR is very worth getting, especially if you don't have a bunch of the like event spears from back in Kane's day. She's worth building if you want to use like a Pierce team and you're short on them, but not great. So bottom of A. Okay, Schutzelt is in the nope tier. Nasha, gosh, you guys, Nasha might be the best MR tank. In fact, Nasha is the best MR tank we have in the game right now. Her 120, that she has a shield that is both physical and magical, just elevates her above the rest of the MR tanks, and honestly puts her in a class of her own as far as that buff goes with any tank. Like, Agrias, for example, has that physical reducing shield, and Agrias has a magical reducing shield. But she has to do both of those abilities. Like, she has to cast one and then cast the other. Nasha, boom, one cast. She's got 50% damage reduction across both magical and physical. She's really good. If you were going to only build one MR tank, I would recommend Nasha, or Prince Mont if you want to stay on the cheap side. Ramada is a bottom of B tier, like basically PvE only water unit. And then there's Salir, man, there was a day when Salir would have made UR tier, but she still makes S tier today. Her AI is very, very smart at like figuring out who to buff and then when to go do damage. She doesn't get herself killed all the time. There's people on stream when I do my like Guild War streams that still show up with these Salir teams and just wreck people. So Salir, S tier DPS unit, and there you go. So that's the MR unit tier list with like really brief discussions about each one. Cool. Hope that was useful for you guys. Build Silma and Nasha, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So cool. All right. Thank you all for watching this video. That's all I got today. Peace.